Love isn't always loud or dramatic. It doesn't always come with grand gestures or perfect timing. Sometimes it's in the quiet moments you almost overlook. The way someone consistently shows up for you, the way they listen, even when it's hard, the way they notice the little things that matter to you. These subtle actions often reveal more than words ever could. If you pay attention, you'll see the love that's been there all along. Consistency is one of the most misunderstood signs of love because it doesn't feel exciting at first glance. People often confuse love with intensity, the constant texting, the sudden rush, the dramatic attention. But consistency is quieter. It shows up in regular behavior that doesn't change based on mood, convenience, or outcome. When a man secretly loves you, his effort doesn't spike only when he wants something. It stays steady. He communicates in a way that feels predictable, not boring, but grounding. You know when you'll hear from him. You know where you stand emotionally, even if nothing has been labeled yet. That reliability creates trust before words ever do. Consistency also means emotional steadiness. His interest doesn't disappear when life gets busy or stressful. He doesn't suddenly pull back because things are going well. Many people retreat when emotions deepen because it feels unfamiliar or vulnerable. A man who cares deeply stays present through that discomfort. He may not express everything perfectly, but his presence doesn't waver. He doesn't punish you with silence or distance when he's unsure. Instead, he continues to engage at the same level. That stability signals emotional investment because maintaining it requires intention, not impulse. Another layer of consistency is follow through. He does what he says he will do, even when no one is watching. If he says he'll call, he calls. If he makes a plan, he honors it or explains respectfully when something changes. This isn't about perfection, but about accountability. Someone who secretly loves you cares about how their actions affect you. They don't want to create confusion or disappointment. Over time, this builds a sense of emotional safety because you're not constantly questioning motives or replaying interactions, trying to decode meaning. Consistency also shows in how he treats you across different situations. He doesn't become distant around others or overly affectionate only in private. His respect doesn't fluctuate based on environment. The way he speaks to you stays kind, steady, and genuine, whether you're alone or not. That alignment matters because it reflects integrity. Love that's hidden but real doesn't compartmentalize you. It doesn't switch masks. Instead, there's a calm sameness to how he shows up, which signals that his feelings aren't situational. There's also consistency in emotional availability. He doesn't disappear when conversations get real. He might not have all the answers, but he doesn't avoid depth. He listens even when topics are uncomfortable. He doesn't deflect with jokes or distractions every time vulnerability appears. Being emotionally present consistently requires courage. It means staying engaged even when there's no immediate reward. That willingness often reveals care long before any verbal confession because it shows he values connection over control. Finally, consistency reflects long-term intention. Even if nothing has been declared, he invests time, energy, and attention without rushing or pressuring. He allows things to unfold naturally, but doesn't keep you guessing. You don't feel like you're chasing clarity or proving your worth. His steady presence quietly communicates interest, commitment, and respect. This kind of behavior doesn't create emotional highs and lows. It creates calm, and calm is often the earliest sign of something real forming beneath the surface. Emotional presence goes far beyond simply being around or staying in contact. A man can be physically available and still feel distant. Emotional presence means he is mentally and emotionally engaged when he's with you. He isn't half listening while scrolling or distracted by what comes next. When you speak, he absorbs your words, your tone, and the feeling behind them. This kind of attention is intentional. It shows that being connected to you matters more than filling space or passing time. When someone is emotionally present, you feel heard without needing to demand it. Being emotionally present also shows in how he responds to your emotions, not just your stories. When you're excited, he shares that energy instead of minimizing it. When you're tired or quiet, he doesn't take it personally or withdraw. He stays steady and attuned. He doesn't rush to fix or dismiss what you feel. He allows space for emotions to exist without pressure. This is often a hidden sign of love because it requires patience and empathy rather than charm or performance. Another important aspect is how he handles silence. Emotional presence doesn't panic in quiet moments. He doesn't fill every pause with distraction or disappear when conversation slows. He's comfortable simply being there. That comfort reflects security and interest. Someone who is only physically available needs constant stimulation. Someone who is emotionally present values connection even in stillness. This creates a sense of ease because you don't feel like you have to entertain or impress to keep his attention. Emotional presence also shows in how he engages during difficult conversations. He doesn't shut down when topics become personal or uncomfortable. He may take a moment to process, but he doesn't avoid the conversation entirely. He asks questions not to interrogate, but to understand. He stays respectful, even when he disagrees. This level of engagement reveals care because it would be easier to disengage. Choosing to stay involved shows that your inner world matters to him. There is also consistency in his emotional availability over time. He doesn't only show up emotionally on good days, he remains present during stress, confusion, or uncertainty. He doesn't withdraw affection as a way to cope. Instead, he maintains connection even if his energy is lower. This steadiness builds trust because you're not guessing when he'll be open or closed. Love often grows in this emotional reliability because it allows you to relax and be yourself. Finally, emotional presence creates a feeling of partnership even before any label exists. You feel supported rather than managed. He doesn't dominate conversations or make everything about himself. He listens as much as he speaks. He remembers emotional details not to impress, but because they stayed with him. This type of presence can't be faked for long. It comes from genuine interest and care. When someone chooses to be emotionally present consistently, it often signals feelings that run deeper than words are ready to express. Paying attention to small details is one of the clearest but most overlooked signs of real affection. When a man secretly loves you, his mind holds on to things that matter to you, even when there is no obvious benefit for him. He remembers how you like your coffee, what makes you laugh, what slightly changes your mood. These details aren't dramatic, but they require presence and care. Remembering small things means he was truly listening in the moment, not just waiting for his turn to speak. That kind of attention usually comes from emotional interest rather than habit. This attention often shows up unexpectedly. He brings up something you mentioned weeks ago without being reminded. He asks about a situation you shared earlier because it stayed with him. This isn't about showing off a good memory. It's about emotional relevance. The mind naturally stores what feels meaningful. When he remembers small personal details, it suggests that you occupy mental space even when you're not around. That quiet mental presence is often a sign of feelings he hasn't expressed openly. Noticing details also reflects emotional attunement. He senses shifts in your energy even when you haven't explained them. He may ask if you're okay, not because something is wrong, but because something feels different. This awareness comes from observing patterns over time. He knows how you usually sound when you're happy, relaxed, or stressed. That level of awareness can't be rushed. It develops through genuine interest and consistent interaction. Love often grows through this slow noticing rather than sudden realization. There's also care in how he uses what he notices. He doesn't weaponize your vulnerabilities or tease you in ways that feel dismissive. Instead, he adjusts his behavior. He avoids things that bother you. He supports what brings you comfort. These small adjustments show consideration. He's not trying to change you or control situations. He's responding thoughtfully. That responsiveness signals emotional investment because it requires him to think beyond his own immediate needs. Another important element is that this attention feels natural, not forced. He doesn't announce that he remembers things or expect praise for it. It simply shows up in conversation and actions. That's how you can tell it's genuine. When attention is performative, it feels strategic. When it comes from care, it feels effortless. You don't feel studied, you feel understood. That sense of being quietly known creates emotional safety and closeness. Over time, this focus on small details builds a deeper connection. You feel seen in ways that don't rely on constant reassurance. He doesn't need to say much because his awareness speaks for him. He shows that your experiences, thoughts, and preferences matter to him. This kind of attention is rarely about attraction alone. It reflects emotional presence, consistency, and care. When someone remembers the small things, it often means they're already emotionally invested, even if they haven't found the words to say it yet. Subtle sacrifices are one of the quiet ways love reveals itself without asking for recognition. When a man secretly loves you, he adjusts his time, energy, or comfort in small ways to support you. These changes don't come with announcements or expectations. He might shift his schedule to see you, even when it's inconvenient. He might choose to be present rather than do something easier or more comfortable. These decisions often go unnoticed because they don't look dramatic. But they matter because they require him to place your importance alongside his own needs. What makes these sacrifices meaningful is that they are chosen, not forced. He doesn't act resentful or keep score. He doesn't bring it up later to gain leverage or validation. That absence of obligation shows sincerity. Love that's hidden often expresses itself through quiet priority rather than grand declarations. He may never say he gave something up. He simply does it because being there for you feels worth it. That internal choice reveals emotional attachment more than words ever could. Subtle sacrifices also show emotional maturity. He understands that connection sometimes requires flexibility. He doesn't rigidly protect his routine at the expense of closeness. Instead, he adapts when it matters. This might look like listening when he's tired or staying engaged during moments that require patience. These are not obligations. They are conscious decisions. Choosing to show up emotionally or physically when it's not convenient reflects genuine care rather than habit. There is also sacrifice in how he manages his reactions. He may pause instead of reacting impulsively. He chooses calm over ego during disagreements. He considers your feelings before responding. That restraint is a form of sacrifice because it requires self-awareness and effort. It's easier to react defensively than to respond thoughtfully. When he chooses the latter, he's prioritizing connection over being right. That choice often comes from wanting to protect the emotional space between you. Another subtle sacrifice is how he supports you without inserting himself at the center. He encourages your growth even when it doesn't directly benefit him. He respects your independence. He doesn't compete for attention or demand constant reassurance. Giving someone room while staying supportive requires confidence and care. It shows he values your well-being rather than his own sense of control. This kind of sacrifice is often invisible but deeply meaningful. Over time, these quiet choices create a pattern. You notice that he shows up in ways that cost him something small but significant. He does so without needing credit. This consistency of self-giving builds trust and emotional safety. Love that operates this way doesn't try to prove itself loudly. It simply adjusts and adapts because connection matters. When someone consistently makes subtle sacrifices, it often means their feelings run deeper than what they're ready to say out loud. Protecting your emotional space is not about control or possession. It's about care, awareness, and respect. When a man secretly loves you, he becomes mindful of how his words, actions, and presence affect your inner world. He doesn't push for reactions or demand access to your emotions. Instead, he creates room for you to feel without pressure. You notice that conversations with him don't leave you drained or confused. There's a sense that your feelings are handled gently even when things aren't perfect. This kind of protection shows up in how he communicates. He avoids harsh tones, dismissive jokes, or careless remarks that could hurt you. If something sensitive comes up, he approaches it with thought rather than bluntness. He doesn't minimize your experiences or tell you how you should feel. Instead, he listens and allows your emotions to exist as they are. That restraint is a form of respect. It shows he values your emotional safety more than winning a moment or proving a point. Respecting boundaries is another key part of this behavior. He doesn't rush intimacy or push conversations you're not ready for. He pays attention to your comfort level and adjusts accordingly. If you need space, he doesn't take it as rejection or punishment. He trusts the connection enough to allow breathing room. That trust is important. It shows he sees you as a whole person, not a role to fill or an outcome to achieve. Protection without control also means he doesn't isolate you or make you feel guilty for having a life outside of him. He supports your friendships, interests, and independence. He doesn't compete with other parts of your world. Instead, he fits into it naturally. This balance is often a sign of emotional security. Someone who truly cares doesn't need to dominate your attention to feel valued. They want to contribute to your sense of stability, not disrupt it. Another quiet sign is how he responds when you're vulnerable. He doesn't exploit your openness or store it for later arguments. What you share with him feels safe. He treats your trust with seriousness. Even if he doesn't fully understand your experience, he doesn't dismiss it. He holds space rather than rushing to fix or advise. That ability to stay present without taking over reflects emotional maturity and care. Over time, this protective energy becomes something you feel more than notice. You're not walking on eggshells around him. You don't feel the need to perform or filter yourself excessively. His presence feels calming rather than consuming. This doesn't come from perfection, it comes from intention. When someone consistently protects your emotional space while respecting your boundaries, it often reveals love that's quiet, thoughtful, and deeply rooted, even if it remains unspoken. When actions align over time, it creates clarity without explanation. Words can be persuasive in the moment, but behavior reveals truth gradually. A man who secretly loves you doesn't rely on promises or dramatic expressions to create impact. Instead, his actions remain steady across different situations, moods, and phases. What he says matches what he does not once, but repeatedly. This alignment builds trust because you're not left questioning intent. You don't have to decode mixed signals or reinterpret statements. His behavior speaks in a language that feels calm and consistent rather than exciting and confusing. This alignment shows up in small, repeated choices. He treats you with the same respect whether things are light or serious. He doesn't suddenly change tone when expectations rise. If he expresses care, he follows it with presence. If he talks about support, he actually listens and shows up. Over time, you notice that his actions don't contradict his words. This reliability is meaningful because it takes effort to maintain. Anyone can say the right thing once. Very few people consistently live in a way that supports those words. When someone secretly loves you, it's rarely about flashy displays or dramatic declarations. It's more about the way they naturally make space for you in their life, even without being asked. Their care is woven into small, consistent actions that show thoughtfulness and intention. They remember details you casually mention, check in when something seems off, and adjust their behavior to support your comfort without making it feel forced. These are things you notice over time, not all at once, but they create a steady sense of being valued and understood. Love that isn't openly spoken often expresses itself through presence rather than words. Being emotionally present means truly listening, noticing shifts in your mood, and responding with patience rather than rushing to fix or judge. It's about showing up when it matters and giving someone the space to be themselves without pressure. This kind of care builds trust because it doesn't demand proof or recognition. It simply exists, quietly reinforcing connection through consistent effort. Subtle sacrifices are another key way hidden love shows itself. It could be rearranging time, offering support when it's inconvenient, or holding back personal impulses to ensure your comfort. These actions are usually unannounced, and that's what makes them meaningful. They're chosen out of care, not obligation. Someone who is truly invested often prioritizes your emotional well-being alongside their own, even when it requires effort they could easily avoid. Protecting your emotional space is part of this this as well. He won't intrude, manipulate, or push for things you're not ready to share. Instead, he respects your boundaries and creates a safe environment where vulnerability is welcomed, not exploited. You feel calm rather than anxious around him, and that security is a clear sign of genuine care. It's the kind of love that doesn't need constant validation. It expresses itself in how safe and understood you feel. Over time, actions aligning with words become one of the strongest indicators. When someone's behavior consistently matches what they say, it signals integrity and trustworthiness. You don't have to guess where you stand because their presence, attention, and support remain steady across different circumstances. Love like this is patient. It grows slowly and naturally, not because it's uncertain, but because it's rooted in understanding and respect. Noticing these signs requires slowing down and observing patterns rather than looking for loud declarations. Often, people wait for someone to say, "I love you," without realizing that love has been quietly present for months or even years. By paying attention to consistency, emotional presence, attention to detail, subtle sacrifices, respect for boundaries, and alignment of words and actions, you start to see the love that exists beneath the surface. It's a love that feels grounding, safe, and authentic, and recognizing it helps you trust your own intuition about what's real. This kind of love teaches an important lesson. The strongest connections aren't always the most visible. They're built on patience, understanding, and small daily efforts that create a deep sense of belonging. Once you start noticing these signs, it becomes easier to differentiate between temporary attraction and something lasting. Hidden love doesn't need to be loud to matter. It matters most because it quietly shapes your emotional world, leaving a sense of care, safety, and trust that words alone could never provide. Another important part of this alignment is patience. He doesn't rush to impress or overwhelm you with declarations. He allows trust and connection to develop naturally. This shows emotional maturity. He understands that real feelings grow through shared experience, not performance. His behavior remains respectful, even without labels or guarantees. That patience reflects confidence in the connection rather than a need to secure it through speech. Love that operates this way feels grounded rather than urgent. You may also notice that he doesn't over-explain himself. He doesn't make excuses for inconsistent behavior because there isn't much inconsistency to explain. When something changes, he communicates clearly instead of disappearing. His honesty shows in how he handles responsibility. He acknowledges mistakes and corrects them rather than covering them with charm. This accountability reinforces alignment because his words are supported by corrective action, not justification. When someone secretly loves you, their care shows in ways that are often subtle, almost easy to miss if you're only looking for grand gestures. It's in the way they notice the little things that make you feel comfortable or happy, the way they adjust their schedule just to be there when it matters, or the way they listen with patience when you're sharing something personal. These small, consistent actions build a sense of safety and reliability, even if no words have been spoken. Over time, these little details add up, and you realize that their attention and presence are intentional, not accidental. Love that isn't openly declared is often more about presence than performance. It's not about saying the right things at the right moment. It's about being genuinely present, even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. This presence can be emotional, like sensing when something is wrong and offering support without needing you to ask. It can also be practical, like following through on promises, showing up when they say they will, or remembering things you mentioned casually weeks ago. These acts may seem small in isolation, but they quietly demonstrate commitment and emotional investment. Someone who secretly loves you also protects your emotional space. They respect your boundaries and avoid pushing for things you're not ready to share. They don't try to control your choices or demand attention to prove their affection. Instead, they create a sense of calm and security around you, where vulnerability is welcomed and safe. This type of care often goes unnoticed because it isn't performative. It doesn't need recognition, but it leaves a lasting impression because it shows respect, thoughtfulness, and emotional maturity. Consistency is another way hidden love manifests. It isn't about intensity or constant excitement, but steady, dependable behavior over time. You notice that no matter what's going on in life, they show up, listen, and act thoughtfully. Their words match their actions, and you can trust that what they say aligns with what they do. This alignment provides clarity and reassurance, and it allows you to relax into the connection without second-guessing intentions. Consistency, above all, communicates reliability, which is a powerful and often underappreciated sign of care. Subtle sacrifices are also part of this kind of love. They might give up something small, rearrange their plans, or offer effort even when it's inconvenient, simply because they value your well-being. These sacrifices are not performed for recognition or reward. They are quietly chosen. The fact that someone prioritizes you in these small ways demonstrates care and intention more strongly than any verbal declaration could. It shows that your happiness and comfort matter to them naturally, without needing to be asked or reminded. Over time, these patterns of behavior, emotional presence, attention to detail, subtle sacrifices, consistency, and respect for boundaries become unmistakable. Hidden love doesn't rush to prove itself. It grows slowly, leaving clues along the way. By paying attention to these actions, rather than just waiting for words, you begin to see a deeper, more authentic affection that is steady and reliable. Recognizing this love teaches us that the most meaningful connections are often quiet, intentional, and grounded in genuine care rather than performance. Understanding these subtle signs helps you trust your intuition and the patterns you observe. It reminds you that love is not always loud or immediate. It's often found in the consistency of small actions and the calm, steady presence of someone who truly values you. This kind of love, though hidden, leaves a lasting sense of security, trust, and emotional connection, proving that what matters most is not always said out loud, but shown over time. Attention to detail is a subtle yet powerful indicator. When someone secretly loves you, they remember the small things about you, not because they need recognition, but because it shows they've been truly listening. It could be recalling a favorite book, an important date, or even noticing when something is off in your tone or expression. These details demonstrate that they've been mentally and emotionally present, absorbing information that matters to you. That kind of attentiveness is a quiet, consistent sign of affection that grows more evident the longer you spend time together. Sacrifices, even small ones, are another way love quietly shows itself. This isn't about grand acts, it's about choosing to make adjustments that benefit you or support you. It might be rearranging plans, staying present during a difficult moment, or giving up personal comfort to ensure your needs are met. These sacrifices are made without expectation of recognition, which makes them deeply meaningful. Someone who consistently chooses to act in ways that prioritize your well-being demonstrates care and intentionality without needing to verbalize it. Over time, all these behaviors, consistency, emotional presence, attention to detail, subtle sacrifices, and respect for boundaries, form a clear pattern. Hidden love is rarely obvious at first because it doesn't rely on dramatic gestures or constant affirmation. Instead, it quietly accumulates, creating a sense of safety, trust, and reliability. By paying attention to these patterns rather than waiting for verbal confirmation, you can recognize a connection that is authentic, steady, and deeply caring. Ultimately, love that isn't openly stated often feels grounding rather than overwhelming. It's in the calm reliability of someone who shows up, the patience to be present, and the subtle choices that reflect thoughtfulness and care. This kind of love teaches an important lesson. The strongest, most lasting connections are built through consistent, intentional actions that communicate value and understanding long before any words are spoken. Recognizing these signs helps you see love for what it truly is: a presence, a pattern, and a quiet, steady commitment that can be felt more than heard. Over time, this creates emotional safety. You feel less anxious about where you stand because his behavior answers that question daily. You're not relying on reassurance or future promises. You're observing how he treats you in the present. This steadiness allows you to relax and be yourself. You don't feel pressured to earn affection or decode intention. The relationship feels balanced because actions do the work words often try to replace. When someone's actions align over time, it shows integrity. Integrity isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It simply remains the same, regardless of circumstance. A man who loves quietly lives in that alignment. He doesn't need to convince you because his behavior naturally builds confidence. Each interaction reinforces the last. Each choice adds to a pattern. That pattern becomes something you can feel rather than analyze. When you look at all these signs together, one thing becomes clear. Real love doesn't rush to announce itself. It reveals itself through behavior that stays steady over time. It shows up in consistency, emotional presence, quiet attention, subtle sacrifice, respect for boundaries, and actions that match words. None of these are dramatic on their own, but together they create a feeling of safety, clarity, and calm. That calm is important because it tells you you're not guessing or chasing meaning. You're simply observing how someone chooses to show up. Love that is genuine often moves quietly at first, not because it's weak, but because it's real. And when you learn to notice these patterns, you stop looking for loud proof and start trusting what steady care already shows you.